Well, we just got back from the Paul Bunyan show yesterday over in Ohio, and it's now Sunday morning, and it is a cold, gloomy, rainy Sunday afternoon. And today, I think I picked the perfect day to work on this project. Over the years, one of the most beneficial things I've done to upgrade my workshop is add additional lighting. And these lights, when they were originally put in, were a T8 fluorescent tube. Those were an 8-foot, and these were a 4-foot in 8-foot fixtures. But the nicest thing about doing that is I've added an extreme amount of light over my welding area, which helps tremendously. I've added an extreme amount of light over my assembly, fabrication, and layout area. So just having these lights in here and being able to actually see sure does make a huge difference when you're out here all day long fabricating. These particular LED light tubes are a 6,000 Kelvin, which is a bright white, almost a bluish look. And that's exactly what I wanted for in this area, to brighten everything up as much as I possibly could. But that's not where the problem is. Let's step over here and take a look at these. These are still the old T8 fluorescent light tubes. And I know it doesn't show up very well on the camera, but the particular light over here on the left has turned brownish, as well as a couple of these others. There's one here, it's burned out, but you can't tell because this one is actually making that one glow up a little bit better. Some other ones over here that are burned out. One on the other side of that one that's burned out. And these are all run from a ballast. They all have a ballast in there, electronic ballast, that lights these up and so on. And what I'm finally gonna do is convert all of these 4-foot fluorescents to a 4-foot LED. And the ones I got for in here are a 5,000 Kelvin. It's not the cool white or anything like that. It is a bright white. And I just basically get tired of constantly taking these tubes out to find out that it was a ballast, and then turn around and have to replace the ballast, and then realize the light bulb also was bad. So when you replace with the LEDs, the life cycle of those is so much longer. Yes, the cost is about double for the bulb itself, but you don't have what I would call a browned out light tube. You don't have burned out light tubes. And with these new LEDs, you can eliminate the ballast in these. They're a direct wire to the tombstone, and you don't have to worry anymore about ballast and light tubes. So over the long haul of replacing ballasts and light tubes, that additional price for an LED light tube, in my opinion, is well worth it. So let's go ahead and start getting some of these tubes out of here and get the tombstone switched over. And if you guys don't know what a tombstone is, I'll show it to you when I'm up there, but it is the ends there of the lights where they twist in. And these are a 2-pin tombstone. So let's go ahead and show you how simple this job is. So to start off with, I've got 32 4-foot bulbs that I have to replace. So I went to our local electronics store and bought these. I didn't get these from Home Depot or anything like that. These are an LED lamp, and let's see if I can find some information on them for you. They are a TCP LT815AB 50K. So I got 25 here, and I got the rest of them in here. Plus I ordered 2 extra for in case any of these don't work when I'm going to put them in, or should years down the road one of them quit working, and now I will have some as a spare. Now pull the covers off and get in there and get to the wiring on these and show you that it's not that big of a job. If you got a little electrical background or mechanical ability and maybe a YouTube video, you can probably get this figured out and taken care of yourself. I got all the bad ones marked. We'll pull them down, put them in a box to have them recycled or disposed of properly, and we'll go ahead and save the other ones that still work. power's off, and then test it, make sure that we don't have any residual power in that system. I'm gonna go ahead and start removing all the ones that are still good, and we're gonna be putting them in a box. I got my work light here going. It's on a different power source. So I'll go ahead and get these out of here. Hand them down to Autumn, and I'll show you real quick. So take that cover, drop it down, pull that down. Now you have exposed wires up here. And one ballast on this does 2 4-foot sections or 8 4-foot fluorescent tube bulbs. So the ballast is going to be up in there. I will have to get this one off and run all these wires. All right, I've got the covers off of all of this row of lights. And what makes this a little more difficult is if you look at this track here, this is the power source. Comes out of here with the Romax. Got my load and neutral and ground. And that's because originally this garage had one light bulb here and one light bulb over there. That's all the lighting that was in here. So we upgraded it and put this wire track in. Goes to the side of the fluorescent tube fixtures. And I've got to, I guess, look at this and see how, because I have to get power all the way down to each one of these tombstones all the way back, and I'll have to do that in the middle row and in the far row as well. I can remove all the ballasts. There is, let's see, one ballast down there for those two, one ballast here for these two, and one ballast down there for those two. All right, so I got all these exposed here, and I had to use my phone a friend card. And what I did was called my buddy Kyle Spicer over at Spicer Designs. And if you don't know who I'm talking about, go check out his videos over at Spicer Designs. He's a certified electrician and all that. So when I run into a scenario where I'm not really 100% sure how I want to do something, or maybe if I'm just looking for some good advice, I'd like to give him a call and have him tell me what I'm doing here. But with each one of these load and neutral wires coming down to a ballast, I now have to turn my neutral wire and wire them up to the yellow wires, so I don't have to go in and cut any of the tombstone wires out. I'm going to go ahead and start removing this ballast here, cut the wires, and start getting these things wire knotted up, and I'll show you what I've got when I'm done. All right, so one thing I want to explain to everybody is this is an 8-foot fixture here with 4-foot sections. So there's 4 fluorescent tubes, or in my new case, 4 LED tubes, 4 foot long, in each 8-foot fixture. So out of the tombstones come these wires. And some guys might have different colored, but these are blue and red out of this one. And then I've got a yellow wire here that goes down to that side. And what I'm doing is making those 2 tombstones down at that end, the neutral side, and all the way back to these 2 tombstones is also the neutral side. And then these 4 tombstones are going to be the load side. So that's why all the red and blues are tied together to my load or my black wire, and all the yellow ones that come from that end and this end come together and are tied to my neutral wire. So that should be the easiest way to hook up the LEDs. And now when I do this, I will have to mark that end down there being the neutral end, this side being the load side, this side being the load side, and that side being the neutral. So on the fluorescent tubes that I have over there, they've got a N and an L marked on each one of the lamps. So when I go ahead and put these in, I'll know that the neutral sides go to that end, and I'll put it up here on the side of this so you can see it pretty easily when the cover's on it. But I'm talking with Kyle. That's a smart thing to do by putting the load and the neutral on there. So if anybody else comes in here and tries to put a fluorescent tube in, they'll know that it's been rewired and the ballasts have been removed by indicating which side is your your load or your hot side and your neutral side. So we'll go ahead and get all the rest of them done this way. And I'll have to do it the same exact way as I've got my 2 wires coming in from the light switch, the load and the neutral. I'll be tying all my reds and blues together to the load side and all my yellows to the neutral side. And I'll do that. And I know you can't see this because of the way the lighting is, but I'll have to do it at that ballast, the next ballast down, and then all the rest of these as we go across here. One other thing I'd like to point out in this section here that I'm putting up in is, after I get it wired, I like to just throw a little piece of electrical tape across the wire to keep it from dangling down, because when you go to put the cover plates on back up here, you don't want to pinch one of these wires if it was snagged or sticking outside of the sharp edge of the fixture here. So just throw a little piece of tape on there and a couple more in here just to hold the wires up inside of that tray. So when I do put the cover plate on, they don't snag. And that makes it a heck of a lot easier when you're trying to fish one in and then lock it in on the other side. If that tape should fall off later down the road, that's fine. Then it'll just lay in the tray as it's closed, and I don't have to worry about it. But until I get that cover installed, then that's what I'm going to do to hold those wires up and out of the way. And I also, again, want to thank Kyle for being available for the phone a friend to get some information what I needed. So we'll go ahead and get all these taken care of and get a row done and see if they're working yet. Got the end for the neutral on the side of the light fixture and underneath. So when you remove the bulbs, you'll be able to see it there as well. And on the load side, I've got a note marked on the side of the fixture on each side of the tombstone and also underneath. That way, if anybody else goes to replace a bulb in here, they'll at least see that there's an N and an L and make them scratch their head and then go maybe look on the tube, or also make sure that they aren't putting a fluorescent in there, so they'll see that and realize that there's been something rewired in here. So now when we put all the light tubes in, all I have to do is match up the neutral end on the tube that's marked and the load side. And then I'll just continue that all the way down through the rest of these. All right, well, I'm on my 3rd section of this row. And like everything else, I have my main power coming in and it was all split off. So I've got my power wires here, my yellow wires that go to the tombstone. So I'm gonna go ahead and we'll unhook these. Get those out of the way. So those come off of the ballast, and these are my main 2 wires that I need to tie into my yellow and my blue and reds off of this. So I might have to put a jumper wire on this one. It all depends on how far it goes, but go ahead and clip off the blue and red off of here, and my yellow. Unscrew the ballast out of there. And then it's just a matter of sorting out the wires that are in here. All of these, get them sorted out. And it looks like I will have to put jumpers on these because they will not reach those wires over there, the black wire. And I don't know if the yellow wire will reach that as well, but that's what happens. Sometimes you got to put a jumper and sometimes you got to cut some off. So that's why I saved some of these extra wires down here in case I did need to put a jumper in. So I'll get these all unhooked here and get this last row hooked up, closed up, and finished up. All right, I wanted to show you real quick on the light tubes themselves. Like this particular one has got an N on it. That's the neutral end. And then the other end has an L and an N on it. And that's all based on how you wire it. But the N is the neutral side of this particular tube. So when I put these up in there, all the N's that I wrote on the fixture, like up here, that's where I want to make sure that N on the light tube gets put in. So that's why I did that. Thank you, Kyle, for that little piece of advice there to write that down on those fixtures. And we're going to go ahead and start putting these light tubes in here on this side. And I've got a whole lot more to do, which won't be easy and will take a while. But now that I'm kind of in a swing of it, I know what I'm doing here. And we can go ahead and put these in and at least flip it on to make sure that I'm right in what I got going. All right, that is so much better, so much brighter, and that looks good. Not a burned out bulb anywhere. Everything works, and when you compare them to over here and these ugly bulbs that are brown and dingy and dull looking, I think it's going to make a substantial difference in here in the garage. And why I'm doing it in the garage is occasionally I'll bring a vehicle in here that I can't get into the workshop to do some work on it. So I do need that extra lighting in here. And done with one row, 2 more to go. And maybe I'll just put you on time lapse to whip through these. All right, I just finished her up, got everything marked, labeled. Gonna head down, turn the breaker on in the basement, and come back and see if I actually got these done correctly. Okay, breaker's back on. Ready to hit the light switch, see if I got it correct. Wow, is that much better? Man, the lighting in here is now exactly what I want. No more burned out bulbs, no more yellow bulbs, no more ballasts to deal with, nothing. So I am a big fan of the LEDs and converting them over to this style and doing away with the ballast and the fluorescent tubes. If I was to have to replace all these bulbs as a regular fluorescent tube, they would have been about $99 for a box of 25. A box of 25 of the LEDs was $199, something like that, almost $200. So I look at it as if I would have only spent an additional $100 to put these things in, as opposed to replacing them all with brand new fluorescent tubes. I would have still had that $100 cost for the fluorescent tubes, but I figured, you know, if you spend an extra $100, get rid of the ballasts, get rid of the headaches, get rid of the burned out bulbs, it's well worth my money to come up here and replace all these. Now, one thing I'll say is I'm not an electrician. This is not a how-to video. This was just, I know how to do some of this stuff. And with a little bit of either coaching or learning or some knowledge in the past that I've picked up, I'm able to do these things. Yes, I did make a phone call to Kyle over at Spicer Designs just to make sure that what I had thought was correct, and he confirmed it. So Kyle, I appreciate that. Thank you very much. If you guys ever thought about replacing your fluorescent tubes, I highly recommend looking into these LED bulbs. And don't forget to hit that thumbs up button. Also, hit that subscribe so you'll get notifications for more videos that come out. Thank you for helping me get them done. Here's a quick look. These are the 5000K LED light tubes. These are the 6000K LED light tubes in the workshop. These are your standard T8 fluorescent bulbs. So lighting is important to me. Having one eye and only bringing in light through one eye, it makes it tough to see in dark areas and things like that. So that is the number one reason why I prefer brightly lit, well lit workspaces.